I'm on record?
All right, explain to me what you're doing here. What part of the canoe is this?
Okay, this is the ama, the float on the side of the canoe. So, yesterday, I hollowed it out because the goal, this is basswood by the way. So, yesterday I hollowed it out because my objective is to make it so that each ama, there's 2 of them on this canoe, weighs 5 pounds. Because it's going to be hanging from the ceiling, and the last thing I want is for gravity to take its toll over many years. I want it to be as light as humanly possible, but yet strong. So I chose basswood over willy willy or balsa because it still has a little bit of bite to it, and a little bit of structural integrity. And when you hollow it out, it becomes light. So basswood it is.
And how much did it weigh when you started out?
Each board, each chunk came in rough milled pieces like this. They're 8-foot lengths.
Okay.
That's a 5-inch, 16-quarter lumber, and each piece weighed over 20 pounds. So now they're about 5 pounds. So actually, with the top, let me explain what I did. I hand shaped with a hand planer and spoke shave the ama. When I was happy with the shape, I took this over to Uncle Chris's house, and we ran this through his bandsaw and cut a 1-inch strip off the top of it. Gave me an opportunity to hollow out the inside of it, and what I'm doing now with epoxy is I'm going to glue this piece back on now, and you'll never know. Come over here. This is an ama I did yesterday, and you can see a ever so slight seam right here, but this has been epoxied on and then reshaped, and super light. So that's the ama. So this is all I'm doing here. I spread a good quality marine epoxy. I'm using West Systems epoxies. Good quality epoxy on. This has already been liberally spread on both sides. And it's just a matter of putting lots and lots of clamps on. We don't need to bore you with the whole video, but I'll put a couple clamps on to show you. Because I'm going to hit this with the plane, again, my little hand planer, I'm not too worried about leaving little minor indentations with the clamps. So I don't need to put down any protective scrap pieces of wood or anything, because like I said, I'm going to hand plane this again and remove those clamp marks. So I just start at the back here. I clamp it so that just a little bit of epoxy starts to ooze out. You don't want to squeeze it too tight, because if you do, you're going to squeeze all the glue out. So just a little bit starts to ooze out, and the seam looks tight. That's all you need to focus on.
Okay. For us who don't know, explain what an ama is.
Okay, the ama is basically the buoy that sits on the side of the canoe that helps balance the canoe.
Part of the outrigger.
Part of the outrigger. There's 2 parts to an outrigger, but we'll describe that later in pictures on the blog. So it looks like it's lined up pretty well. So then what I do is I just simply use all my clamps, and I just clamp it. I don't know if you can see this, but see that nice tight seam?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want, nice and tight. This is going to be a decorative canoe. It's never really going to see the water, hopefully. So this doesn't need to be watertight, but if you were making a functional canoe, and for example in the continental 48 states in America, and you don't have access to willy willy and stuff like that, this is how you could make it with basswood. Hollow it out, chamber it, and use a good marine epoxy, glue it back on, and then this ama is just as good as a piece of willy willy from Hawaii or how, or whatever you want to use over there.
And how long do you allow it to set?
It all depends on the temperature. Yesterday, my epoxy set in about 6 hours because it's about 10-15 degrees cooler today. This is going to have to cure overnight, and tomorrow I can take it out of the clamps.
Okay.
So I use a slow hardener. You can, in epoxies, you buy the fast hardener and the slow. I go slow. Gives me a little bit more time for setup, just in case there's a mistake. I can correct it before it becomes permanent.
And you're using how many clamps?
All of them. So I'm not going to count.
As many as you can?
I'm just going to keep putting them on until I run out of clamps.
The more clamps, the better.
Yeah. It just makes the seam more uniform and tight. And like I said before, earlier in the video, the last thing you want to do is tighten it too tight. You don't want to over tighten it. You just want to have a little bit of the glue seeping out of the edges. But a nice consistent clamp over the whole surface is what you want to shoot for.
Okay.
Shoots.
There you go. The ama.